Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast in association with Man Down. I'm your host, Ross Jackson-Hicks, and I'm the founder and also the director of Man Down Cornwall. Man Down Cornwall is a men's mental health support group based here in Cornwall, and what we do is offer men a safe, non-judgmental environment to talk about their mental health issues and concerns. So today's guests are Serena and Elliott Jolly. They are a fantastic couple, or the fantastic couple behind Sunrise. Sunrise is a newly formed organisation based here in Cornwall, and they provide safe and supportive events, workshops and activities for those affected by loss through suicide. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Ross.
How are you both doing?
All right, thank you.
All right?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Yes.
Good. So we're going to have to sort of figure out who's going to talk first, and so you're not
Yeah.
both talking together, and we don't want to start any fights or
I'll let
arguments.
Serena take the lead. It's
Okay.
fine.
All right, fine.
So I've known you guys for quite some time now, and we've obviously connected through through an event that you put on in memory of your brother. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And I just want to sort of take this opportunity to thank you both for what you're doing within the Cornish community. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about it and why and how and who and there and they. So if we sort of start with you guys just explaining a little bit about what you're doing, what you're planning on doing, and then we'll just let the conversation flow.
Okay, thank you. So, so we set up Sunrise. Well, we started around September, didn't we, last year? And it's come about because I lost my brother, Sonny, to suicide 5 years ago now. It was 5 years this week. And after he died, we always knew that we wanted to do something in his memory, something to help people that have been through similar situations, because it is such a unique and difficult and awful thing to happen if you lose someone to suicide. So there's not only like the lead up to it, and in Sonny's case, that was a really horrible time for many, many years, wasn't it? Because he was so poorly. But then, in his case, it was something we feared might happen one day, and then it did. So it wasn't, in a way, it wasn't a surprise, but it was a huge shock, and it was sort of all-encompassing and just changed everything, really.
Yeah.
And from that point, it's actually really hard to know what to do to kind of recover and deal with it. And there's not a whole lot of services around that support people that have lost someone to suicide. So we knew that we wanted to do something to do with music and art as well, and well-being, which is what my business is involved in that. So we just didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but it's all kind of come together, hasn't it, in the last few months, and that we will be holding events and getting people together that have been through similar situations, lost someone to suicide, so that we can be together and talk about it, create a community, maybe forge some new friendships, and just support each other, really, because there's limited resources out there at the moment.
How fantastic. I, for one, are just really looking forward to seeing how everything all sort of, evolves and moves forward, because it's, just very exciting for me and for everyone that's involved with Man Down. We're all really keen and really looking forward to seeing how it grows.
Well, this is it, isn't it? It's about growing it now.
Yeah.
The idea's been there for probably close on 4 years. I suppose it came actually off the back of Sunfest,
Yeah.
where obviously yourself came down
That's
and
right.
sort of supported us in that. And the support and love we got off the back of that, really,
Yeah.
kind of made us think there's something, we can do something here.
Yeah.
It was just picking the right time to kind of come up with that concept and idea, really. 4 years in the making, really, and it felt like the right time.
Yeah.
And like you said, going back to obviously the art and the music, side of things. That was off the back of Sonny. Obviously, he's a talented musician,
Yeah.
an artist, wasn't he? He's very creative. So it made sense that we based it around kind of art, music, and of course Serena's involvement in well-being.
Yeah.
That's kind
Yeah.
of how we arrived where we've got to, really, isn't it?
And I think with music and art, they're really amazing ways for self-expression, aren't they?
Absolutely.
So even if you find it difficult to talk,
Yeah.
you might be able to kind of lose yourself or lose yourself in the moment or create something that you're proud of
Yeah.
when you don't necessarily have to talk, or you can just let your mind run away with you and be creative. So we thought those were really cool ways to do that.
Yeah. For sure.
And then with the well-being side of things, what we found, after you lose someone in any circumstances, you're told, you just look after yourself, take care, self-care,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But it's really hard to know exactly what to do about that.
It's easier said than done, isn't it?
It is. So I retrained and I've done a few courses, I suppose you'd say. Yes, a few qualifications in different ways of like self-care and well-being. And that was all off the back of losing Sonny and seeing how much he suffered with his mental health and how much we all have felt the repercussions as well. So just really wanted to do something positive and help people feel better, because the world is a really hard place sometimes, isn't it?
It is. Life is hard to navigate through at times, isn't it? And I think making it a little bit easier for yourself, attaching yourself to these positive things that are going to help you, get through the dark times a little bit easier, a little bit stronger. I'm all for that. And you touched on music and Songfest. Just tell us a little bit about, or tell the listeners what Songfest was, and obviously you're planning on doing another one, aren't you?
Yeah, so basically it was an idea that came about, obviously having lost Sonny, and we wanted to come up with a concept or an idea where we could sort of celebrate his life, really. And we put the feelers out, spoke to a few people, and it seemed to be something that everyone was on board with, wasn't it? So that was it. We were like, right, let's do this. And so we sort of contacted a few places, and we settled on the Eco Park at Porthtown as the venue,
Which was a great venue, wasn't it?
It
was.
worked
It
so
was
well.
really cool.
It worked really well, didn't it? And then it was a case of sort of contacting local bands, musicians, to see if they would be up for sort of getting involved. And fortunately, quite a few of them said yes. A lot of them knew Sonny as well. So there was that personal connection as well. And then Sunfest was kind of born. And it was something that we wanted to continue and do again. Sadly, COVID years happened, and that put a stop to it. But once again, it was that event, really, wasn't it, that gave us the drive and determination to kind of see what we could do.
We had so many people afterwards saying, when are you going to do another one? When are you going to do another one? And like Elliott said, it was COVID, and we had young kids at the time as well, and just never seemed to be the right time. But now it feels like it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it's got to be right at times. You know,
absolutely. It has to be.
You can sometimes go gung-ho with these things, and it's not right.
Yeah.
But everything just fell into place, within the last 6 months, really. And that's why we know in ourselves that it's the right time to do it.
I think people listening out there, some people have got that opinion of, there's never a right time to do something. You just got to do it, and that's just not true. I think when you've got a family, when you've had something that's happened like yourselves, you've lost Sonny. It's devastating, isn't it? And I think the time's got to be right for you to do it properly, to give it your full energy, to give it your full, being.
Absolutely.
To make sure you've got all that meaning and purpose to put towards it. And you've obviously invited me down to Songfest to talk a little bit about Man Down, and we'd only really just been going for like a year, if that. So I was sort of stood there in front of the audience, reading from my phone. Man Down is a men's mental health support group, and I didn't really quite, know what I was doing or what I was saying. So that I always remember that, and I remember your brother being down there as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Liam.
Yeah.
He was like, "Come on, Ross, you're okay." And it was a fantastic event, and it was watching everyone come together, touching on music. music's always a go-to for me when I'm
Yeah.
feeling not quite right myself. Takes you away to a different place,
It does.
whether it's a memory or lyrics or sounds or whatever. So yeah, I'm completely with you
I think
with the music
like,
side.
going back to finding the right time, initially, because Sonny was a musician, he was so incredible, I couldn't listen to music properly for about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. Especially anything to do with a piano
Yeah.
or anything that had any memories connected to Sonny, which was a lot of music. And it was just way too emotional, I think, for me. So I just avoided it.
Yeah.
But things have changed in that respect now. And now I'm just, totally embracing music again, which is brilliant. And I think that's another reason why, with the music being such a strong theme and it now being the right time, because personally, I am welcoming music back into my life again properly.
Yeah.
And it really does connect people, doesn't it? And,
Absolutely.
yeah.
100%.
And we couldn't believe how well that first event went, could we? Because it was just
it just
brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It just kind of snowballed, really.
Yeah.
And obviously, going back to your point you mentioned then, with that in mind, we're going to be doing a fundraiser in March, 1st of March, down at Red Roof Rugby Club.
Awesome.
To raise, obviously, funds for Sunrise.
Yeah.
It's going to be a similar sort of setup and evening to what we had back at Sunfest.
Can't wait.
No, it should be great, and we've got some great music and some DJs lined up. So, I mean, we've got Scenic Route, which is a duo that we know locally.
Yeah.
Steve from Scenic Route was also a friend of Sonny, knew Sonny very well.
Yeah, they've been in bands together, haven't they?
Yeah.
Back in the day. So when we asked Steve fairly recently to be involved in this gig we're putting on, and he was telling me all these stories about the things they got up to like back in the day in the bands and stuff, and that was just really lovely to hear, wasn't it? So he's chuffed to be involved.
Great memories.
Yeah.
Exactly that, isn't it? And once again, that connection again. And also throughout the evening, obviously we've got another band called the Horizons from Plymouth. They're
Over the bridge.
Over the bridge, yeah. Over that bridge. But yeah, no, they're a great sort of covers and originals band.
Yeah.
They do a lot of the music, once again, which Sonny was a fan of himself. And then to end the night, we've got the Best of Grohl, which is like a Dave
awesome.
Grohl sort of tribute to all the music and all the bands he's been in.
Fantastic.
And once again, Sonny was a massive fan, of that sort of music and, the Nirvana, Foo Fighters.
And I think a lot of people our age, because Sonny, was only a few years younger than us, but we've all got like the same group of friends really, and it's
similar taste in music.
Yeah,
and proper
vibe,
music.
proper
proper music.
Yeah.
Proper lyrics.
Sort of music. Yeah.
Proper acoustic. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean that's going to be.
So what date's that going to be then?
So that's Friday the 1st of March.
Right, okay.
At Red Roof Rugby Club. The tickets are on sale at C Tickets at the minute.
Right.
So it's £10 if you get your tickets in advance, or if you just want to turn up on the night, it's £15 on the door.
Awesome.
Obviously all proceeds going into Sunrise.
Yeah.
Along with that as well, we're going to be holding a big raffle.
Yeah.
We've already got some great prizes coming in already on that. Going back to the music, we've got our friend Rye Gold's DJing. Brilliant local DJ, does all the festival circuit and stuff. Really good. And for a bit of fun, we've also got Cassie from Cornwall Caricatures.
Oh, right.
I don't
Okay.
know if you've
Yeah.
come across Cassie's work, but it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So she's going to come along on the evening as well and do some really cool portraits of people. And once again, it's just about raising funds for Sunrise, getting the awareness out there,
Connecting people through music and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So
completely get that.
Yeah, that's like our kind of big fundraising night.
So these events that you're putting on, are you specifically aiming them towards people that have been affected by suicide in Cornwall?
Yeah.
So I've told you guys, I think it's an absolutely fantastic thing that you're doing. Bringing people together, connecting people, hoping that they, share some things with each other and but there's no pressure to talk, is there? There's no pressure to sort of feel that you need to share, just being amongst others that are in a similar situation to you, I think helps massively.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it can be a really hard thing to talk about.
Of course.
And sometimes people find it really hard to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So they might not have experienced themselves. But even if you're in a room where other people have had similar experiences, that's, makes you feel a bit more comfortable, and it gives you a bit of a connection if you do want to talk. So we just want to make these events sort of really friendly, informal. We want to bring some positivity as well.
Yeah.
So that's why we're kind of going down the creative route and the well-being, because we want people to feel good.
Of course.
And there are ways that people, they might go to, like, I don't know, a counsellor or something, which is fantastic in its own way, but that's not necessarily being with a group of like-minded people, is it? So there's something a bit different about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a similar concept to us.
Yeah.
In a way, we've sort of spoke about that before, haven't we? Because there's a lot of stigma and a lot of shame around suicide, around mental health in general, and I think people, like you said, they don't really know what to say, how to say it, if they should say anything at all, about suicide, about being affected by it, because there's still a lot of embarrassment around it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot more common than what people realise,
It is.
I think when you start opening up, when you start talking about suicide and how it's affected you, whether it's been directly or indirectly, family member, husband, wife, whatever it may be, it opens up those doors for conversations, doesn't it? You can speak to someone and then they say, well, actually my husband tried to take his own life last year, and and it sort of, it opens up different pathways to just the mental health world, isn't it? So I think it's great.
And I think there's so many more people that have been affected by suicide and mental health than we realise. So got some quite shocking statistics here. So
go for it.
in Cornwall, there's an average of 70 to 80 suicides every year. On average, for every suicide, 135 people are exposed to it. That's the official term, but that basically
the
means
ripple effect.
The ripple effect, it means they've known the person. So it might not be a sibling, it could be a friend or a colleague or a cousin, but it's still, there's no hierarchy here. Like, it still affects
absolutely
you if you know someone that has done that. And those people that have been exposed to suicide are statistically more likely to experience mental health issues themselves after that event. So depression, anxiety, trauma, and 38%, according to some studies, consider suicide themselves. So
wow.
As well as suicide postvention, which is sort of helping people after the event of a suicide. We're seeing Sunrise is also like a prevention organisation as well, because those people that have lost someone, they can be very vulnerable,
absolutely, and
isolated. So again, it's just going back to connection and community, isn't it?
Of course. Yeah. Some horrific statistics, isn't it?
It is. It's about 10,000 people a year who've been affected in Cornwall, which is crazy.
And Cornwall as a county has got the third largest suicide rate in the country, which is quite upsetting, isn't it, to hear? Because you think of Cornwall as a place where people come down to have fantastic memories and holidays with their families, and our kids are exposed to the beaches and the coastal paths and all this beautiful, land, and everyone down in Cornwall is just really supportive of everything that you do, and it's a great community. But then you've got, on the other side of the coin, things that people don't necessarily see a lot of, which is a lot of poverty, a lot of depravity, and a lot of isolation, I suppose, as well. So there's a lot of reasons why that, I suppose, statistics so high. But it's I think the more we can do, the better, isn't it? We're all working together towards the same path, aren't we? There's no conflict of interest ever amongst what we're all trying to do, which is just it's great. It gives you a real sense of like purpose, doesn't it? And a good drive, And I think you guys obviously being affected by suicide yourselves must be quite a sort of driving force behind why you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we were saying on the way over, actually. I mean, myself and Serena have been together close on 18 years now.
Wow.
And probably before then, like, mental health wasn't something that was on my radar or many people's radars.
No.
And of course, what we've been through together as a couple, you know, it just opens your mind to it. And, you know, I mean, obviously you speak from experience growing up. Most of your life, it's been something that's...
Yeah. So my dad has always suffered with mental health issues. So it was something that's always very prevalent in our family.
Was he very open with how he felt and stuff?
Yeah, he was. I think at times he didn't really know how he felt sometimes, but it was always an open thing. That, you know, Dad wasn't well, or Dad was having a bad time.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that's what everybody's family was like growing up. But
I think you'll find they are.
Yeah, I think they probably. Well, yeah. Now that it's all, people are starting to talk about it more, aren't they?
People are opening up more about it, aren't they, and their struggles, and I think that's a massive step in the right direction.
Yeah, I do as well.
And like you said, everyone, you know.
Yeah, we were saying that in the car on the way over. Like, it wasn't a thing really for you growing up necessarily, but now it's luckily or thankfully everyone's talking about it now, or way more than they used to, and that's so important.
Of course.
You know, we talk about it with our kids all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
Which hopefully is gonna, you know, be positive, because it's hard growing up maybe thinking like you can't express how you're feeling,
and you grew up
it all in.
feeling comfortable with talking.
Yeah. most of the time. No, I did. I'm really glad that I've had that sort of really very balanced experience of seeing that side of life, as well as, you know, the other side of life as well. Feel like I have a lot of empathy for people, probably because I've seen all different kinds of people growing up and their different experiences.
And that's a powerful thing to have, empathy. Yeah. That's, you know, that's something that has to come from deep within, isn't it? And, you know, through experience and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's a much better time now in these last few years that people are talking about things. I remember actually just after Sonny died, and there was an article in the West Britain, I think it was, and Man Down did a little statement to go with the article, and I remember you saying to me, he's like, oh, look, there's this organisation called Man Down.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think you'd only just sort of really started. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then that's why we chose Man Down to be the beneficiary of the funds that we raised from Sunfest. And it's just, it seems to have sort of
all clicked into place.
Yeah. And it's all sort of like, the universe is aligning in that sort of way.
So what was it like? Because was Sonny older, or
he was younger?
He was younger than you.
Yeah.
So younger brother.
Yeah.
When did he start really sort of showing signs of struggling mentally?
Well, to be honest with you, it probably goes back to initially kind of just when we were starting to get together.
Well,
obviously,
you've never known him to be well.
I've never known in the whole time we were together. I know. I mean, I remember Sonny from school because we all went to the same school.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, so probably a good 18 years, if not before that as well, really, that he was starting to struggle. Yeah. I would say.
I think we just first got together, and that's when he experienced his first psychotic episode. So he had psychosis.
Right.
And really from that point, he was never really the same again. But it was really hard as he was going through his journey, which I think, probably was about 13, 14 years of just horrific pooliness. Because he was an adult, it was really hard for us as a family to kind of get involved in what was happening with his diagnosis and find out really what was going on. So that was really hard.
Because he didn't have to share with you.
No.
Because he could just keep it all
exactly that.
Secret.
Yeah. So I kind of wish there was a way that family could get more involved at that stage, because we knew that, you know, he talked about suicide a lot, and we always feared that it would happen. But, you know, how can you intervene when they're an adult? And how, that was a really, really tricky time. But before that, Sonny was, he was always like really sensitive, and he was really popular, had loads of friends, really funny. But he yeah, he kind of had his demons, I think, from quite early on, really. Yeah. Like possibly neurodivergent, ADHD, which, that's not a mental illness in itself, is it? But
No, it can cause
like anxiety,
mental health
depression.
issues, and
if it's like not a known thing, you kind of think, oh, why am I like this? And so looking back, there's possibly some of that going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the psychosis time, wasn't it, that really was the change. And then I remember there being another article in the West Briton saying that there was all these sort of like mental disorders that they were listing off that he had, which is really awful to read because we'd never been told any of those things. So somehow they got that information.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not nice.
No. But, it's these people that end up taking their own lives. They're more than just their diagnoses, aren't they? They're the people. There's so much more to them. Yeah. They're like whole amazing people that have come to this decision on that one day. So it's really important to remember them, not just for that one thing, that event that they did. It's about their whole lives, really. And when Sonny died, it's hard because there's the Sonny that you remember being well, and that you miss that person so much, and then there's the Sonny that was quite a different person that was really, really poorly all that time. So you're kind of mourning two different people after they go. And even while Sonny was poorly, you're kind of mourning the person that he was before, even when he was still alive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there was glimmers that, it's like, oh, he's coming back.
There was hope.
He's coming back to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'd have his ups and downs, wouldn't he? There'd be days when he was really, really good.
Yeah.
And then, within a couple of days, he was back down again, wasn't it? And it was always hard to kind of know what to do to help him or what we could say to him, and direction, really, as to what he could go and do and find out there to help him, And once again, I mean, we go back to that article and mentioning Man Down, and we've often spoke, haven't we? If there was more organisations Man Down around when Sonny was really struggling, who knows? You know what I mean? The outcome could have been very different.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and this is why what you guys are doing now at Man Down and what we're looking to do in the other organisations, like you say, all coming together. We've all got that end goal, and that's to help people, and do what we can, so others don't have to go through this. Do you know what I mean?
And there's such with the NHS, it's so stretched, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like lack of funding. In Sonny's case, he just kind of like fell through the net of all the different NHS services, and there wasn't really anything to like catch him. But now, with all these amazing projects that are going on, and all these people with lived experience, that they don't want anyone else to go through that again.
No.
Just kind of all working as a team, I suppose.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can, make that difference that we really need.
Yeah, it's always about that sort of that one guy for us. We sort of we concentrate on like the meetings, and from our facilitators hearing that they had 20 guys turning up to the meeting and 15 and 10 or whatever the number may be, and we are amazed. We're absolutely amazed with how many guys that come along to the meeting. But it's always about that one guy, and like you said, if there was something around that Sonny could have perhaps gone and connected with, then who knows. But I think we sort of we won't talk too much on that and dwelling on the past, because you just don't really know what could have happened, could you? I think when someone's in that state of mind, and they really feel that they just don't want to feel that pain anymore. They just don't want to go through it anymore, do they? You like you said, you go through the good times, and they're good, and then you hit a little wall and you hit a bit of darkness, and you sort of back down into that state of mind where you are feeling quite worthless, and you feel like you don't deserve to be here, and people would be better off without you, and it's it gets boring. It gets quite boring going through it all the time. Going up and down, and I think without a support network, without a good community of people around you, family, therapy, well-being activities to use and stuff, and just, burying your head in the sand almost. It's just a lot difficult to sort of navigate through, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's really hard to know exactly what you can try to help yourself feel better as well. Like
until you try it.
And I think with Sunrise, we want to, eventually start signposting people maybe to different kinds of therapies or different ways to help them. Like after Sonny died, I had secondary trauma,
right?
I think they called it. So I had EMDR therapy. Don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I haven't. No,
it's pretty wild.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, it's so with trauma and traumatic experiences, it's sort of like at the very front of your brain.
Yeah.
So it's there all the time, and you can't stop thinking about it. But EMDR therapy, and I hope this is like an official way to describe it. This is my experience anyway. It basically you talk through the traumatic experience, and the psychiatrist, he waves or she waves their finger in front of your eyes.
Right.
So you follow the finger.
Yeah.
And so your brain is looking from left to right, while you're talking, and it moves that memory into the back of your brain.
Oh, right, okay. Wow.
So
it's stored in the memories and
So you don't think of the trauma and the unprocessed horribleness about it. It's kind of like an acceptance.
Right.
And you can move on and think about other things. Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Because grief is a strange thing. Really got another word to use apart from strange, because it is strange, isn't it? It's sort of different for everyone. And there's a process, and I've never really sort of gone through grief as such when I've been fully like corpus mentis, if you understand. So when I was drinking a lot and taking other substances, I wasn't really sort of here in the here and now, only for like partially. But I lost my gran, and I was obviously grieving and really upset and very sad, but I wasn't really fully aware of what I was experiencing until I lost my dog. And because I've been sober for 7 years now, and I'm constantly in the here and now all the time, it was a different experience, a really difficult thing to process. So that was my only experience with like really real grief. Obviously I still grieve my grandmother that's passed away. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it was different for me this time around because I was fully there,
more like in the moment.
Felt everything, whereas I was still numbing stuff. The day she died, I was drunk, and the day of a funeral, I was absolutely steaming, and I can't really remember much about it. And
it takes a lot to fully embrace it and look it in the
absolutely
face.
For what it is. Accept it for what it is. And so I can't imagine what it obviously must have been like for you guys, losing Sonny, but that's my only experience with it. I just thought I'd share that.
And it's unique for everybody, isn't it?
It is.
Like however the person or beloved pet or whatever's happened, that's only what you're feeling, and only like what sort of other things it could trigger, like maybe that, like you said, you haven't dealt with grief before in
100%,
a certain way,
other things coming out,
and it's you've got to be in the right frame of mind to really kind of deal with it full on, and it can take years and years and years of like talking to different people, therapies, counselling, meditation maybe, and it's like a puzzle, I suppose. Each individual person has to find their way through it.
Of course.
And some days are going to be a lot easier than others, and some days are going to be really awful. And I think when you're going through that journey, and it's a unique experience, particularly if you lose someone to suicide, and what I found, particularly losing a sibling to suicide, there wasn't really anyone that I knew that was going through the same thing as me at the time. It does. It feels quite isolating and a bit alone, and that's sort of what we want to help with, really, isn't it? Is just providing those spaces that people can grieve how they want to, or not grieve, or just be.
That's it. Yeah, it's a safe space
with people that are not going to judge you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, exactly that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, that's by doing these events monthly. You know, and hopefully put them out there in advance so people can see what's coming up, and then they can pick and choose which ones they feel they'd be more suited to, and if you know, so yeah. I mean, we just want a safe space. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
where there's a no pressure environment, you know, to come and meet other people and sort of, you know, forge those friendships and stuff like that, and maybe find someone that you can talk to, whereas you may not be able to talk to a friend. You know, talking to a stranger sometimes can maybe be a bit easier.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, obviously going through everything that we've gone through, you know, I've always been quite fortunate myself. Yeah, you know, that I can process things. Yeah. But obviously you have those days where you're like, right, let's go and have a chat with my mate or something like that, and just get stuff off your chest. Yeah. You know,
and that's great that you're aware of that, and that's great that you're able to do that. You've got the right circle of people around you.
Yeah, I'm really, really fortunate, you know, to be able to do that and process it. I mean, obviously for me as well, sort of like releases are sort of playing football, sport, out on my mountain bike, going to the gym, to clear those. You know, if you are having a tough day or things are getting on top of you, it's go and blow the cobwebs out, and then I feel a lot better. And that, I think that's probably been why I've been able to process and sort of go through and support Serena, obviously when she's really needed it, because I've been able to process it and digest it easier than things that you were able to. But without those things that I do in my spare time, like the football and stuff like that, it'd be interesting to see
how different you felt.
How different I would be. Yeah, definitely.
And I think you're, you know, you said that you're lucky, but I think you created that environment around yourself, which is important.
Yeah,
and that's a choice, isn't it? And I think, you know, when you grow up in a different environment and you're not exposed to those things, you know, it's difficult to sort of add them into your life because you don't really know how it's going to make you feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of people that we meet, a lot of guys, obviously, they don't really do a great deal for themselves at this particular moment in time. You know, they're suffering and they're in pain, and that pain's turning into suffering because there's no outlet. You know, there's no exercise, there's no connection, there's no, you know, decent diet or whatever it may be. You know, there's so many things that we can add into our life that's going to sort of benefit us and our mental health, isn't there? We know that, but the worst thing that you can do is nothing, and just, you know, and just sort of let that darkness swallow you up. And it does swallow you up. It takes over your identity, isn't it? It takes over your whole being.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I mean, you obviously touched on like psychosis, didn't you? And obviously that's a different realm to mental health.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just talking like you sort of generalized anxiety disorders, or you sort of low, medium, high depression
with Sonny
levels.
It was severe.
Yeah.
In the end, it was. But we've unfortunately lost other people we know to suicide. Some friends and a close family member, where there wasn't necessarily that psychosis or like really high level of mental illness. You know, sometimes it was out of the blue, real shock. So there's all kinds of different circumstances, isn't there, that can lead to someone thinking that they need to take their life to sort of escape or so. But each one, I think, as we said before, is unique, and each one of those people, you know, deserves to be remembered for like the amazing person they were, but also the people that are close to them, you know, need to really acknowledge like what a traumatic shock it is to lose someone to suicide, and really try and look after themselves the best they can, because like you said, not doing anything is sometimes the worst thing.
Of course.
You know, sometimes just going out for a walk can make you feel so much better. Or I don't know, reading a book or phoning a friend or something like that. So it's those little tiny tweaks you can make in your day or to your body, or like eating the right food, or I don't know, doing some yoga for half an hour or something, can really kind of reset you and help you to get through, really. Yeah.
Because you want to not do anything. That's
it's the easy thing to do, isn't it?
That's what it makes you feel like.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like not doing anything different, and doing what you're doing isn't working. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Come on, tell me, please,
Yeah.
someone. Show me the way.
Yeah.
But it's a hard thing to sort of break out of, isn't it? It's that sort of it's the mindset, and I think people just need to be more aware of their sort of feelings, really, I suppose, don't they? They need to be aware of what's available out there for them to get involved with.
Yeah. Be open.
It doesn't have to be that way, does it?
No.
There is, we say that suicide is 100% preventable, and we say that with the meaning behind it, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll circle around you. We're not talking about the people around you could have done more or should have done less or whatever. It's the preventable part is your part, isn't it? It's your choice that you've made to to take your own life or so we always get some sort of comments around that when we mention suicide is preventable, because we sort of see both sides of the coin, really. Our new campaign video that we've obviously just launched, it's been so well received, and it's a very powerful, poignant video. A difficult watch, it is a difficult watch, but we wanted it to be like that because we wanted to just highlight the fact that men still find it difficult to talk and to open up and to share, but on the other hand, it's sort of it's been a little bit triggering for some people, which is completely understandable.
It's so powerful, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When we watched it the other day, didn't we?
We were both in tears, weren't we? For ages.
Yeah,
but
I can't watch it anymore.
No,
it's the music, isn't it? It's the music. I mean, you can watch it on mute.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the same effect. But
and the
it's
bit where like you can just hear the sea.
Yeah,
I know. God, it's so well done, isn't it? Really hard to watch.
It is hard to
really
watch.
Really powerful, but really important.
Yeah, really poignant, isn't it? And it's just. It's a decision that people make, isn't it? And I think, just putting that mask on for your family and for your friends and for your work colleagues and pretending everything's okay, and really you just behind it, you're just fading away, aren't you? And it's okay to feel like that.
Yeah,
isn't it? Do you think it's okay to feel like that, but not to feel like it for a long period of time? There's a time scale, isn't there, where you allow yourself to feel, acknowledge the fact that you're feeling sad and down and dark and whatever, however you're feeling, but not let that become you, become part of your identity. It's just a thing that's happening to you, isn't it?
It does overtake things, doesn't it? Sometimes.
And I think. You mentioned on the sort of neurodiversity, Sonny, I think I can sort of vouch for this, fellow ADHD sufferer, that I attach myself to thoughts sometimes, and I find it very, very difficult to break away from that thought pattern, from that cycle of intrusive thoughts. And so I just get it. People just talk to me, and I just get it straight away. So
because you've got that empathy, because you've been there as well.
Yeah, I've been there, and I still go there sometimes. It's not. It's. I know now that I would never make that decision, but I know that sometimes I get very bored of how I feel. We were talking about coming in and out of that cycle.
It's just exhausting, isn't it?
It's exhausting. It is exhausting, and it's boring. It's the only way I can describe it. And it's just there's no particular reason why it happens. It just happens, doesn't it, out of the blue? And for someone to be there for a long period of time, you know, I get it. You know, I really do. But I think, you know, the destruction and the devastation that's left behind after a suicide is just it's unimaginable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just it changed all our lives, didn't it? After Sonny died, I quit my job. I went back to work for a bit, but I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Had sort of my own breakdown.
Yeah.
But then that was obviously really a horrible time. But that's led me
For
on
both
to
of
do
you, you know.
yeah.
Well, I think but on that, you know, I think
It's led to other things.
it's led to other things. It's also, I go back to not really knowing much about mental health struggles 18 years ago, kind of before we met. But I think it's made me understand them better,
Of course.
know how to deal with them better.
Yeah.
You know, and getting those coping mechanisms in place again to know how to. Because I think, you know, I'm not. People think I'm this happy-go-lucky chap. I'm always happy, but I have my moments. Do you know what I mean?
But
You
this
know,
works though. This in front of you works, doesn't it?
well,
And
it seems to, yeah.
yeah. And I think it's important. You know, doing it on your own is hard work, but you feel alone a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. And I think Soraya, my wife, is very similar to you. She's the sort of chilled one. She hasn't really had any problems with her mental health. I'm sure I've been detrimental to her mental health at times, and the kids. But you need, you know, it's like a bit of a sort of, it's a bit of a rock of a pillar of support there. You know, I can sometimes look at her and think, well, there is hope that you're going to feel, you know, potentially like Soraya or like Elliott, you know. But no.
Oh, well, yeah, because I've only recently been diagnosed ADHD and ASD.
High five.
Yeah, thanks. The crew. But now it's like, now we've realised that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just coming out all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
It answers a lot of questions.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that was your problem, wasn't
Yeah.
it? A lot, you know, you do things in a certain way, and you'd be like, "Why?" But now
am I
she
doing?
now I definitely understand why, and you certainly understand why.
Yeah.
But then equally, the flip side of that is now you know you can balance things better.
Yeah.
You can get in your head. You can go right. This I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do it that way.
Yeah.
And there's some really positive things about it, I
Oh,
think. Like
100%.
the concentration levels,
Yeah.
hyperfixations on things,
Yeah.
like good things. And I can totally see that with Sonny, like, because he was so into his music and he would do it like day and night for days and days and days, and he was like an actual genius. So if, you know, it's all hindsight, isn't it? But if it was now happening, there'd be a lot more awareness about ADHD.
Yeah.
And the anxiety that can cause as
Yeah,
well,
of
because I've
course.
always been quite an anxious person my whole life, but it turns out that's probably why.
Yeah.
So once you kind of are more aware of those things, you can do more things to help you in a day-to-day sense, so that you don't end up getting really low.
You don't feel so broken, I think, when you when you've sort of found out the reasons why you behave the way you do, or why you think the way you do. And it's hard work for, you know, the partners sometimes. But Soraya's working in a school now, and she does a lot of you know, sort of she's doing a trauma-informed sort of qualification, and she deals with a lot of children that are, you know, ADHD and neurologically diverse, and, you know, trauma and stuff. So she's got a lot more understanding on that side of things. So, you know, she'll sometimes come home and try and do the teacher one on me now. You know, I don't understand why you're feeling like this. And I'm like, do you really? I don't think you do. So yeah, it's nice to have the answers to the questions, but sometimes it's, you know, it doesn't make a
sometimes it's like,
difference.
aw,
Yeah.
why? Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad there's a lot more awareness out there, and a lot more knowledge and understanding, and not as much judgment.
Yeah.
You know, when I got diagnosed in school when I was 13, you know, that was 1995. So it was just, you know, I was the only kid in the school out of 1,200 students that had ADHD. Now I think there's probably 2 in a class or 3 in a class, or, you know. So the levels of, you know, awareness has gone right up. But the teachers back then just thought I was a horrible, disruptive little shit, you know. And they didn't know how to deal with me or to cope with me. I was put in isolation. I was expelled from schools. I was in a behavioural school, and it was, you know, when you can look back now and yeah, it was quite traumatic, really. You know, my childhood in school, because I just felt like I didn't belong with any of the other kids. I felt pretty worthless and pretty, you know, so that fortunately doesn't happen as much anymore. So that's sort of, I think that's going to prevent a lot of stuff from happening. But then now we've got these.
Yeah, I know, it's just terrifying, isn't it?
It's terrifying.
Yeah,
it is, because, you know, I'm an addict, and with anything that I can attach myself to, that sort of, you know, quietens the busy mind down, and that is just, that little thing there is just. But it's also great for what we're doing, for connecting, for bringing people together. Yeah. So you've got to think of the positives, you know. But I just,
it has
with
its
the
pros
kids,
and cons, doesn't it?
Of course it does, absolutely, like anything. But with the kids, it's just, you know, it scares the living daylights out of me, because I see them all on there, like Rudy's mates come and knock for him in the morning for school, and they're just like that, right? And that's, you know, 12, 13 years old, you know, so it's like constant distraction, isn't it?
And that's all they know, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all they know.
That wasn't accessible to us back then.
No,
you
we
know,
didn't
like
have
trying
it.
to explain to our daughters, like, you know, we had a standard 4 channels on the TV.
Yeah.
Mobile phones.
And then Channel 5 was introduced.
Yeah.
We used to page each other.
Pages as well.
Page from 8 and the telephone box.
But yeah, no, it's madness, isn't it? How things have changed, and it's only going to get worse in a sense. I think it will, with the technology and the way things are nowadays, it's only going to get worse. There needs to
be boundaries and more understanding for the underdeveloped brains.
This is it.
On that,
our brains aren't developed till we're 25.
No,
which is something I've just learned. Which is mad, isn't it? Because
it is. I'm 41. I'm still waiting.
Yeah, me too. No, but like,
I think we all are.
You think that when you're 18, you know, you're an adult and you've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
But no,
you're still a child.
You're still.
Yeah, God. Yeah.
You've got to, you know, try not to be so affected by your decisions in the world and stuff, or like go a bit easier on yourself, I suppose, when you're that age. Or we need to be easier on that age as a society. And try and get them off their phones.
Yeah.
And get them talking to people.
Well, they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
They got no identity.
No.
And it's a constant stream of like comparison. You know, comparing themselves to others, whether they subconsciously or consciously are doing that. You know, comparison's the thief of joy, isn't it? We all know that. You know, it takes you away from that moment. You know, oh, look what they're doing. Oh, look what they're doing this on the beach, and I'm stuck here in this office. And it's like, you know, everyone puts their wins on, don't they? And I think, you know, it depends on who you follow, doesn't it? That again, it's a choice, isn't it? I've got nothing but positivity on my phone, you know, people that I aspire to, you know, to be, that are inspirational for me. But then I've also got a lot of dog videos on mine as well. Follow dog accounts.
That's what we do as well.
And then, you're flicking through dogs doing stuff for like half an hour at night. You're like, oh, this isn't good.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Because dogs make you so happy.
Do you know what they do?
They do.
Oh my God, you know, they really do. Yeah, I mean, obviously since losing our our Guinness, and you know, you guys
Yeah,
lost Bear. They were
sisters.
they were sisters,
Yeah.
like, which we found out when we
Yeah.
St
Madness,
Agnes 14 years
Yes.
ago, from a little farm.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
And how was Bear?
She was 12, 13.
Yeah.
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 Like 12.
Yeah.
She was
So
young.
she wasn't that.
compared to.
Yeah.
So
Guinness,
she was cream, wasn't she? She was a
Yeah,
cream.
she was the only golden one.
The golden one, sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
cream.
Yeah.
And Guinness was Black Labrador, and so you've since got another Star. Is it Star?
Yeah.
Star.
Star, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's taken over the
He's a
mantle.
mentor.
So how old's she now?
2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's fox red
Yes.
lamb, isn't she? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then obviously we've got Zila, who's
Yeah.
3.5. So she is a golden retriever Labrador cross, and she's just she's so affectionate, like so loving, and just, you know, they know, don't they?
They
That she's like a
do.
real therapy dog.
Yeah.
You know, she'll just come and sit and just know that I'm just feeling a bit like,
Yeah.
and it's sort of almost like she just soothes it.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
definitely
for that-
sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They do. And just like stroking them, that like sends your dopamine up.
Yeah, no,
doesn't
it does. Yeah,
And they, like, Bear for us, she was like our first baby, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
she was
yeah,
there
yeah,
through
yeah.
everything, like with Sonny and stuff. She was always there, just, for cuddles.
Yeah.
And Sonny would take her out for a walk sometimes. Well, he begrudgingly
Yeah.
really didn't want to, but I made him sometimes. But just little things like that, they get you out, don't they?
Yeah,
They
of
get
course.
you out into the
Yeah.
fresh air.
Well, they give you a responsibility. You know, you're
Yeah, yeah.
responsible
Yeah.
for that creature. That, you know, you've got, like you said, got to take them out. You've got to feed them. You've got to, you got to look after them. They solely rely on you. They're completely and utterly in your capable hands, aren't they?
Yeah, would never be without one.
No, God, no. And I say to the kids, listen, I both love you with all my heart. I would, I would die for you both tomorrow, but I don't always like you. I always like the dog. I always love being around the dog. I'm just honest.
Yeah.
And they're like
Dogs
looking at
don't
me
talk
like,
back though, do they?
I'm sure that's sort of going to come out in some sort of trauma when they're talking about mental health.
Oh. Well, yeah, babies, take them or leave them, but puppy,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Just the best.
Yeah,
Then
it's
once
weird,
again, you
isn't
go
it?
back to that whole kind of doing things to get you out of these lulls and stuff like that, and having a dog, going out for a walk.
Yeah.
Often you're out daily, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like yourself as well. I don't walk Star as much as you, but yeah, just getting out there, isn't
Yeah.
it? And they get you out there.
Getting out to nature.
Yeah.
Getting out
Just-
and amongst
there's
it.
So
yeah.
many beautiful places to go and walk in Cornwall.
Well, yeah, we're so lucky, don't
And
we?
Oh,
just-
we are. It's just
yeah, so
gorgeous,
lucky.
and it's having that positive reinforcement, isn't it? It's, finding something to actually get out for and get up for, and
Clear the mind
and
yeah.
a lot of people don't have that. Or they do have it. They just don't realise it yet. I think they're so used to sort of putting that sort of mask on, drinking, taking drugs or whatever it may be, or using other dysfunctional relationships with anything, gambling, and there's lots of stuff that people do that isn't going to end up very, very great for them. And it's got to be their decision, isn't it? It's got to be their decision to sort of break out of that cycle of those bad habits. And we can't do it for them, can we? We can only try and guide them towards making that decision.
Yeah.
Before you start becoming too preachy and too judgmental.
I think also as well, it's for them knowing that the help is out there.
Yeah.
It is out there. You
Yeah.
know, it's like keep going back to years ago when it wasn't. There's so much out there now,
There
and
is.
even we've noticed, haven't we? Sort of with Sunrise and the connections that we're building and stuff like that, we're coming across organisations that we never heard of.
No.
And you
And
don't
think,
realise.
that would have been so helpful.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
this-
absolutely. But you don't realise
No.
until you start digging how much help there is out there.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the message to anyone struggling: is the help is out there.
Yeah.
It's hard, easier said than done, I know,
Of course.
but it's knowing that these organisations are there to help you.
Yeah.
So try and get out there, get along. See what can be done for yourself by going along. it may not be
reach
the
out.
easiest. Yeah,
Reach out.
It may not be the easiest thing you do, but it could
It's
be
not.
the best thing you do. And I suppose that's the kind of mindset you have to have, isn't it? If if you're in that environment and you just need to get out of it.
Yeah, just open mind and find someone that you've got a connection with, and then it can be, or a group of people, or find a place that you've got a connection with, and try and see the beauty in things, and there will be a place for you or a group for you. It's just getting out there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like you said, your tribe, isn't it? Finding your tribe, finding your people, being around people that are good for you. Because a lot of people like being around people that are not great for them. A lot of enablers and a lot of people that they feel that they should be around, but are not really very good for their mental health and well-being.
They deserve that, maybe.
Yeah, because they feel that they've sort of known them for such a long time. Oh, he's all right. He's my mate. I've known him for years. And it might not be working anymore. That friendship might not be working anymore. It might be leading you somewhere, where you don't particularly want to be or deserve to be or need to be. And yeah, it's just difficult. It's difficult for men to reach out, isn't it? That's why we try and promote what we do as much as possible, and just try and sort of normalise the conversation. Just make it part of everyday life, because there's still a lot of men that find it really difficult to talk.
Oh, and I think Sonny was one of those people. Yeah.
And it is difficult because of the shame and the stigma and society as a whole sort of building up this sort of male figure that's supposed to be the breadwinner and strong and fearless, and it's like that's gone. Like that's old hat now. Like you've got to face up to stuff now and talk about it and be proactive and not just pretend that it's not happening, because it's a lot of the times that doesn't end well, does it?
Yeah. It's acknowledging and awareness and reaching out.
Yeah.
That's the message, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely, reaching out. And hopefully you're sort of going back to Sunrise and following your journey really with Man Down and what you guys have achieved, and Sophie at George's Voice as well, and all the other organisations. It's amazing the journeys that you've all gone on, and we're now on that journey, and with us, with you, the support from yourself and Sophie at George's Voice has been, we've got so much support, haven't we, and love, which has been really, really overwhelming, but appreciated, definitely. And to know that what we're doing is needed, because I think that's the other thing as well. At times we're a bit like, is there a gap for it? Is it needed? And yes, it is. I mean, from what we found out so far, and people reaching out to us already and messaging us and stuff like that. That's telling us that it's needed, and we are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You just got to keep your focus on that one thing that you're aiming to do, and people will follow, and people will connect with you, and you said before, didn't it? It takes time. But then you get these little moments pop up, these little events that you're doing, these little posts that you're going to put out or whatever it may be, that people will jump onto and connect, and you'll get a spike in people sort of wanting to know more about what you're doing and jumping on the sort of your bandwagon, wanting to get involved. But you just got to keep doing what you're doing. There'll be people that are going to absolutely need your service, or your services, what you're doing out there in Cornwall. There's no doubt about it. Then people come out from the woodwork.
Yeah. And what we want to do eventually is to grow and have events in different places around Cornwall. At the moment, we're concentrating on sort of mid Cornwall, aren't we? We're starting, but we want to try and get to as many places as possible and reach the people that need that support, really.
That's awesome.
So it's just about spreading the word, and we're getting a group of facilitators on board. We've got some people contacting us that want to get involved in that, so that's great. yeah, so if you want to find out more, you can look at our website.
Yeah. So let everyone know what the website is.
Oh, it was going to happen, wasn't it? So yeah, it's just sunrisecornwall.org.uk.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Is our website.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're on all socials, so on Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and Twitter,
Yeah.
which is now known as X.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? But yeah, obviously we can be contacted through all those sort of avenues.
Yeah.
And yeah, I suppose is there anything else that you need to add?
I don't think so. There's on the website, there's different ways you can get involved as well. So if you want to volunteer for us or become a facilitator, or you could fundraise for us. We've just put a donate page on.
It's just gone live, yeah.
So the donations and any funding that we have will help to keep our events free for anyone that wants to attend, so that we can train facilitators as well. So.
And also on the website, just as another point we touched on it earlier, is the survey we put out initially. Yeah. Obviously, people can go on there, fill it out. That will help us sort of mould Sunrise going forward. Yeah. So that's just a link on the website there as well. So if anyone feels the urge to sort of go on and share their feelings, I suppose, on kind of what they need and want and sort of things like that, it will all be on there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Definitely. And there's a few things going on already around Cornwall by other groups, which we should mention, which are really brilliant. So there's a singing group in Camborne, I think, that Mind run, and there's a walk, a regular walk that Cornwall Mind do. There's one at Trelisic on Monday, so we're going to go along to that, aren't we? And there is the Survivors of Bereavement by Suicide talking group, which is once a month in Truro. But we believe that that's the main things that there are out there at the moment. So we want to fill in the gaps and reach like a wide demographic. Yeah. So all adults, 18 to 100. If they want to get involved and come along, then they're just very welcome.
That's awesome. Too. That's great. Well, it's been great to chat with you both today. Really has.
Likewise. Thanks for having us.
No worries. And, carry on doing what you're doing and inspiring others and all the fantastic work you're doing. So thank you both very much.
Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, thanks, Ross. Appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Appreciate all your support. And, listen out for the next episode and speak to you very soon. All right, take care, everyone, and let's talk about it.